Hello, this is Will from JourneyWallStreet.blogspot.com. I'm here to do a quick recap of my SINA trade I made a couple of days ago and a review of a day trade I made in SINA today. So, just to remind everyone, in my last video I talked about two levels in SINA. One that's above this candle, which is around 60.81, and another that's above the highs of these candles, which is about 61.75. So those were the levels I was looking at, and if you remember from my last review, I was in a excuse me. Sorry, this is a new platform. I haven't worked out the kinks yet, but I was in a SINA trade because of kind of a wedge pattern here where it broke out the wedge and broke these highs, and I added and I held stock here with a plan to add above 61.75. So yesterday it tried to make new highs, but ultimately it didn't go anywhere. My stop yesterday was below the low of the day, and it kind of just traded sloppily the rest of the time. But one interesting thing is, remember I said 60.80 was the level? Look how it kept hugging that area the entire time. The EMAs are pretty much flat right at the level. But anyhow, so fast forward, I moved my stop to below this kind of pivot low area. And today I was stopped out. So at this point, I'm done with the SINA trade. I'm looking for things to short just because the overall market was looking pretty bad. And some characteristics of good things to short is the EMAs start to kind of split, looking like railroad tracks. And stocks typically will get to the EMAs and then and that becomes resistance. So you see here, it sort of became a resistance level here, and it came back and retested kind of near the lows. And now here, it's starting to pull back into the EMAs again. So right now you're kind of just waiting for opportunity to get short. So that's not it, and here we go. It was unable to make a new high, and it's a red candle. So this is opportunity to get short, below this red candle. I mean, you could have a stop above this area, at the high of these candles, but for me I decided to use this area just because sometimes SINA gets a little whipsawish, so I just want to make sure it didn't stop me out. So now we just wait for the trigger, and the trigger happened right there. So that's when I established pretty much a full position already, and then I didn't have to do anything the rest of the time. I just let the trade do its thing. At this point I covered some just because it was near the low of the day, and I think I went to work. And eventually, what does it do? It'll retest the EMAs. As long as it doesn't make a higher little high here, then we're good. Oops. So here, I mean, you could have had an opportunity to get in short here, but like I said, I was at work. So not much to do. As long as you move your stop and just let the play play out. So kind of broke the lows, and it just kept going. Of course, it kind of pulled back to the EMAs, and then eventually it'll drop again. And same thing, pull back into the EMAs, hug it, gave the 21 EMA a try. Ultimately, that failed, and it just kept going. And that was it. I covered some here, I covered some around there, around this green candle there, I believe right here, and then finally I used this candle, this green candle here, 58.33 as my stop, and eventually I was stopped out at the last 5-minute bar of the day. fairly easy trade. It's the same characteristics as all super weak stocks that are shortable. See how there's a lot of space between the EMAs, and every time it retests, it fails, retests, fails, and it never makes a higher low. I mean, excuse me, a higher high. Lower low, lower high, lower high. Guess you could call this a lower high. This was probably the only time it kind of tested, but at this point I was already deep in the money that I didn't really care. So I just kind of let it trade out because I was already down to 100 shares at this point because I covered here. And with my final 100, I was willing to let it go till the end of the day, but finally I used this area as a stop. And that's pretty much it. Kind of easy money trade here, even though in the bigger picture my SINA trade failed. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to do another video review sometime in the near future.